What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast.
If you want to be successful, look inside.
We don't like sitting in the discomfort.
Then all of a sudden that day came when I got $20 and 2 free drinks to do a show, and I was like, oh shit, here we go, baby. You know?
Thank God she hasn't caught a chicken yet, because she'll tear her head off.
Don't be soft.
That patience is key.
If all my friends are winning, then it's going to make me want to win more.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very special guest here live in Miami. This man is an NFL athlete, wellness instructor. He is also a tremendous entrepreneur, the owner of Hot Organics. Guys, please help us welcome the one and only Weslye Saunders. What's up, man?
Oh, yeah. Fellas, I appreciate you having me, man. What an intro, too. So thank you for that.
Thanks for coming in, man. Feels good to be in the studio again.
It does feel good when you can do it live. I always say it's the best experience.
Oh, it's way better.
Right. I appreciate you giving me that option. I'm like, no, I'm going to swing by.
Yeah.
And we're going to make this thing for real.
That's what I love hearing.
Yeah, for sure. Pick your. There you go.
There we go.
So what's been new with you, man? I know you've been on the beach, kind of like myself. How's everything kind of been going since Corona hit? I mean, that was like a year ago now. It's fucking crazy to think that was a year ago. Lots changed, I know, in our lives. How's everything been for you the past year?
Well, everything for me has been pretty fascinating, actually. I've taken this moment. A lot of people have obviously been through a lot of rough stuff this past year, so I don't want to discredit that. But, it's been such a learning experience for everyone, and I've taken a chance, taking the opportunity to just learn and listen from what's been going on. This is going to be a pretty historic time we're in right now that we're going to be talking about 20 years from now. So, I'm a journalist by trade. So, I've been documenting things, just engaging with people, and which has led me to start emotional intelligence and wellness coaching and healing. I realized that was something that a lot of people didn't even realize they needed until this past year, and it was vital, especially in the Black community. But obviously, this hit everyone across the board. So rich people, poor people, everyone is affected. And so, it's been pretty crazy, man. But actually, business has picked up in that aspect. I've been learning how to take care of myself mentally, spiritually, physically, all of those things. And I'm just, spreading it to the world, trying to change the world a little bit I can.
How'd you get into journalism? Like, where did that start for you?
Well, growing up in North Carolina, my dad has been a columnist for about 50 years now almost.
Oh, wow.
And so he used to own his own. He started his own newspaper when he was like 20 years old.
What was it called?
It was actually called the North Star at the time in Rockingham, North Carolina. The North Star named after Frederick Douglass's print and publication.
Yeah.
So I learned from an early age the importance of grammar and, telling a story and being able to tell the facts and tell the truth and things of that nature. So I became very objective in my way of looking at the world and looking at life. And, big ups to my pops, Weslye Saunders, for that, man. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Shout out.
Yeah.
That's truly amazing, man. And
Thank you.
The fact, too, that, understanding how that's a huge role when it comes to, like, certain things in your life, business, storytelling.
Storytelling is everything.
Very crucial.
It's everything.
Everything, especially if you want to tell your own story, right?
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, I put myself in positions where I've had other people tell my story for me, and unfortunately, perception is reality a lot of times. So, of course, you want to be able to take control of your own story and write it the way you want to. So here we are.
100%. So, just to go into a little bit more about that, let's dive into a little bit about storytelling, because I know definitely for our audience here, especially on social media, when it comes to the content game in your business, when it comes to that world of entrepreneurship, I think a lot of people have a problem when it comes to storytelling, how to tell their story and how to be able to tie that in with their personal brand. So I would love for them to be able to hear from you. What are some of your go-tos or tips, and what are some of the things that you would tell somebody when they're new to building their personal brand, so that way they can start putting together their story and be able to create impact?
Well, that's a good question. Thing that I see a lot between races and genders and everyone is that when you're telling your story, you really care, right? Most people really care about what they're saying. And and sometimes they care a little bit too much, right? And sometimes a little bit too much emotion is put into it, and the message is kind of not concise. It's not brought together well enough to resonate with an audience. So you have to, I've been following guys like Dr. Les Brown and Tony Robbins, and they bring trigger words.
Legends.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been to a couple of UPWs with Tony, and he's amazing, man, and Dr. Joe Dispenza as well. So I want to being able to tie in what people are listening for as well. So it's really about knowing your audience, but knowing what key points you want to tell about your story, and being able to tell it in a way where everyone is able to receive it.
That's amazing. So what were some of the biggest takeaways you learned from those three guys?
Oh man, everybody's got a little bit something different, So, Dr. Les Brown taught me about my power voice and being able to, accentuate what I'm saying, emphasize points that I want to make at a certain time.
Why is that so important? Because it does make a dramatic impact when you can weigh certain words differently with tone.
Man, it's important because people's ears phonetically pick up on those things.
Gotcha.
Those things impact. That's why I was watching a show where the lady said, "Hey, if you want to make a point, if you want to get something across, you have to make a loud noise at a random time and bang on the desk, right? Because that actually gets people attention." Going in a different manner. So
it's almost like music.
It's almost like music, right? If you want to talk about frequencies and stuff, that's what Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about as far as what we're listening to, 532 hertz, 928, I believe, and all these frequencies that we're listening to. Unfortunately, the frequencies we hear on the radio and a lot of the songs are actually low frequency. So, that puts people in a bad mood, makes people a little sadder. So being able to speak in a melodic manner, being able to accentuate the words that you want to accentuate and get your point across is very important, because sometimes the message gets lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is really not only just about the words that you're saying, but how you're saying them, because you're right, perception does become reality for the majority of people who can't or who don't have the time to take a step back and really look at the broader picture of things in the context from which people are talking in.
Right, and it's super important, especially, it's something I really like to emphasize for people of color, because unfortunately I know that there are little black boys in school who have been written up or sent to detention or suspended because they've said something that was deemed disrespectful by the teacher, or threatening even, because they didn't understand the language that they were using. And of course, that misunderstanding plays a big role in how we're disciplined in the schools, and then of course it goes outside of the schools. So it's really important being able to. That's why we goes back to grammar, being able to conjugate a verb and express yourself through words. Because if you can't express yourself through words, then a lot of people find other ways to express themselves, and it's usually physically.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up, because I come from the country in upstate New York, so. Everyone where I come from, it's a cold, fucking murky place.
Yes.
Everyone's super direct, and then you come down here, and everyone's tiptoeing on eggshells. And I walk in, I'm like, "Hey, motherfuckers! What's up? This is what's going wrong. You're fucking up here. You're doing a good job. You're kicking ass. You're fucking up. You're doing that." And they're like, "What? Hold on." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't even know what room I'm in," and I'm just kicking down the door, ready to go.
That's New York for you. I tell people all the time, after about 48 hours in New York, I'm a totally different person. That Southern hospitality stuff goes out of the window, and it's it's pure, straight to the point, hustle mode, that type of deal.
Yeah, I'm from 6 hours north of there, but even up there, it's you're there to work. You're there to work. Yeah, if you're there to work 8 hours, you're 9 to 5. You're working 9 to 5. You're not. You're not taking no breaks. You're not doing anything.
And which is cool. That's cool for a certain time. But then, that energy all the time, right?
There's a reason why I don't live in the city.
Exactly. So you got to learn a balance. That's why I love, the emotional intelligence aspect of it, because, you find a balance in life, the duality, right? Shout out to David Deida, one of my favorite books, The Way of the Superior Man, where he talks about men being able to find that soft spot that we're so scared of, right? So a lot of New Yorkers, I know, especially men up there, man, super tough. Jersey too, Philly, all that. Wherever it's cold, it's a lot of tough people, right?
You got to pretend to be, You
got to pretend to be at least, right? You can't afford to even give a glimpse of being soft, or what we deem as being soft. So, unfortunately, that weighs a lot on people's psyche, especially that of men. And I know a lot of men have had a hard time this past year, even expressing what's been going on or how they're feeling, and successful people getting businesses shut down and things of that nature. Like, it's tough to talk about, but it needs to be talked about, and that's the only way we're going to grow.
So I'm really interested in asking you a question, just because since you're an athlete yourself, would you say that when it comes to like the teams, the players themselves, the coaches, have you seen a difference in the way that, now that we're talking about words and speaking and grammar and the power of it, have you seen a difference in the cities of the different teams that you might play? I know you played you said with Indianapolis, you said the Steelers. Have you seen, even with other teams, just the way that the dynamic is with the words, the grammar, the tonality of it when it comes to playing for different teams?
Well, I would say it's a case by case basis. I know some guys, and it's funny we even talk about the concept of grammar, because that's really just a proper way of talking and speaking and writing, right? If you can, technically, before there were even words, we could talk to each other without making sounds, right? Mm-hmm. And so I know a lot of super smart guys who don't really sound like they're that smart, and then I know some people who sound super intelligent who really
are idiots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'll say it for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's a case by case basis, and I've come to realize that I can learn something from everyone, no matter how they speak or how they talk, or if they can't really spell that great, because we'll have to talk about a whole different set of subjects about why that came to be in the first place. So
don't ask me to spell.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And of course, if you even want to talk about athletes having gone to school for whatever they went to school for, if they made it to the NFL, then chances are football was the most important aspect
I can
of their schooling.
promise you, I worked at Syracuse and FAU, like training the football players, and most of those kids were there for football.
And it's okay, but
yeah, it's fine.
But unfortunately,
it's a job.
Everybody doesn't make it to the NFL, and after that, you wonder if that sociology degree or hotel retail management is actually the thing that's going to carry you forward, or
was it just an easy path while you played football?
Of course.
Do you think that's changing more now than it was before, just because of social media, advancements, tech, all this stuff? Like, I feel like you're seeing more.
When were you in college? What years?
Changed. 2007 and 2011.
Okay, so you're there the same time I was, kind of.
So
I was 09 to 2013.
Okay, but it's like you said, it's definitely changing now. What was illegal during my time isn't illegal anymore. They're letting college guys, make money now. And
I heard about that.
Right. Yeah. So, I got suspended for accepting money. So,
really?
Obviously the rules are changing. And, I remember butting heads with a few of my coaches because I wanted to major in journalism. And, University of South Carolina had a really strong journalism program at the time. And shout out. Yeah, shout out. I was very adamant about taking that, and they were, people were trying to persuade me to take another major.
Why was that?
What was?
Why were they trying to persuade you?
Because it was known to be a tough. It was known to be a tough major. So journalism was
rough. Yeah.
Right. So it was one of those where
very competitive.
Why would you even want to take that? We don't really. And of course, at the time, the football program had a rapport with certain professors, and certain things were understood. And here I was.
You're like, nah.
No, I came here for journalism.
Let's go.
Especially I chose the school, and my final two schools were University of North Carolina and University of South Carolina. Both very strong journalism programs, and
should have gone to Cuse. We probably could have used your help, bro. We were trash.
Yeah, I played in the Dome, even though I saw the pictures at Syracuse, man.
I mean, it could get loud in there, but it was never full enough for it to get to that point.
I did notice that. Shout out my man Arthur Jones too, man.
He's a legend. Yeah, I saw. I'm friends with Chandler. Chandler's a good dude.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. But yeah, sorry, I forgot what we were talking about now.
Oh, we're talking about money and journalism.
Oh yeah, journalism. So yeah, I wasn't not going to take journalism in South Carolina, but I ended up doing that, and I don't think I did myself any favors by going against the grain in such a dramatic fashion like that, and. That's just what it is. But now I believe that the voices of the athletes are being heard a lot more, obviously, and you gotta love that, man. Hopefully, I look at myself as a trailblazer.
I mean, to some extent, yeah, you gotta be right, like kind of pushing against what the public perception and the norm was in, what is essentially a massive $1 billion business.
Oh yeah, that was.
Right? Him and I always joke around like. The way that he views athletics and the way I view athletics are completely different now. right? Like I only look at it from a business standpoint. I can no longer watch an NFL game or an NBA game or an MLB game or college football and go, okay, yeah, like I'm super pumped for like this 45-0 route. Like all I'm doing is thinking like, what are the logistics for the bus getting back? Like when are they, where are they staying? The room checks, all the training that goes into that. And like, I can't enjoy this anymore.
Yeah, that was the reason why I did what I did in college. I noticed the amount of money that was, obviously we played in a 90,000 person stadium, and the concessions and just everything you see go into it. And then we would get these stipends per week that were like $42 weekend money. And then of course if you missed a class or you missed a meal, you're getting $10 docked from that, so you could end up with $20 for the weekend. Wow. And I was, it was something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way personally, because I see, the coaches were getting new cars every month from the different dealerships. So I wasn't ungrateful by it in the least bit, but I was hungry, and I was, I didn't come from a poor family either. My dad was just one of those guys who was very frugal, so to speak.
Not a bad thing.
Hey, you need to be living the college experience, and me giving you money all the time isn't necessarily part of that experience. So it is what it is. But of course, the better you get at football, the more people start to notice you and give you these handshakes with some dollar bills in it. And of course, as a freshman, I would see these things going on. I said, okay, so I'm supposed to get that good so I can get rewarded for my good play. And so that was the kind of the understanding. And when it came to be my time, I guess it was a little too much heat on the NCAA. So that's kind of what happened. They took it out on, this was after the Reggie Bush thing had broken, and a lot of people had accused them of not doing enough during Reggie's time. And Reggie was in the NFL already, so they were on a witch hunt. And I don't know if I was in the
They were going nuts.
They went nuts. I was involved with the University of North Carolina football team. I remember A.J. Green and a few other guys, prominent guys, who were involved. And it was pretty bad, man. It was a pretty rough time.
Now they're bringing back NCAA football. You see that?
I love it.
Yeah, I'm so pumped. I don't play video games anymore, but I might have to start.
Right.
Those were good.
Those were my favorite.
What was the last one with Tebow? That was the last one that they had?
It was like 2000.
Right?
I forget. I remember that the thought the presentation of maybe paying the players came up.
And they're like, nah, we're just going to stop making the game. Nope. Nah, we're good.
Nope.
See, it's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So what was that? What do you think did it for them to actually change that now? What do you think finally did it?
Well, every social media, man, everything. The players are going to do what they do. You got guys who are almost bigger than the game now, like Trevor Lawrence has been just a staple in football. Even in the NFL, they're naming his name, and he's not even there. So, and you're like, what is he getting for this? And then you see guys like Dabo Sweeney and Nick Saban with these huge contracts, man. At this point, you can't not talk about it. Of course, unfortunately, with the George Floyd thing last year, and the racial tension is something that you can't ignore anymore, as far as how the system works.
What do you say? Because there are people out there that are like, oh well, and kind of adding on to your point that a lot of them are there just to play football, right? They're getting a $60,000 a year plus scholarship to go to a school that they might not have gotten into if it weren't for football, and that's compensation, right? That would kind of be like the devil's advocate to the point you're making. What do you say to those people?
Well, at this point, exactly what you said. I just follow the numbers now, right? So if you're looking at it, you're just there to play football. Okay, well, we look at the importance of the football team and the basketball team as it relates to all the other sports, right? Mm-hmm. So some schools now are going bankrupt are actually doing away with their sports programs because the revenue hasn't been coming in from basketball and football. So now we understand the importance, right? So there's a monetary importance there, and
huge.
And then we talk about the degree, right? Afterwards, how many people are in student debts? Obviously, that's a huge issue.
Me.
So that's a huge issue. I didn't take my scholarship for granted because I was around a lot of people who were already in debt 2 years into being in school.
I couldn't. You would throw up.
Right. Yeah.
You would throw up
crazy.
If you heard the number.
Right. So I never took that for granted. But I would know, some of my teammates, of course, that's not an issue we had to deal with. So, whatever. But afterwards, like, are you going to use that degree to further your life or better your life at some point? And the numbers would tell us no. So, unfortunately, we got to look at the numbers, and it says that importance of that player going to the school is a little, might be a little more important than that $60,000 scholarship that we're claiming is of value, right? Because who's placing value on it, right? The valuation of it, who makes that decision?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good way of explaining it. And I'm not saying that I think that way. I mean, obviously, I saw the other side of it. I know the amount of work that goes into it. And if I was working 80, 90-hour weeks, like, you can bet your ass I'd be wanting to get more than like some,
you can look at it as working, right?
Mess hall spaghetti and meatballs and some
it practice.
Like sirloin steak that they give you,
They would call it practice. They wouldn't call it work, but it's practice, right? So, and I'm not ungrateful, man, but I'm just like, the fairness of it. I was looking at the numbers. It was stifling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's incredible. And it's funny because I'm all about like, hey, I get it. For certain moments, okay, earn your stripes, pay your dues, but there's also a level of like disrespect.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's always like, okay, we get it. We have to work up the ranks for a certain, then prove ourselves. But if you're really proving yourself and you're really working hard, like you deserve to get like, compensated.
I saw, and the flip side of that, of course, for the guys who don't make it to the NFL and, those things, or might even finish their degree because they got hurt or something, whatever the case. I've seen the worst of it, right? I had a teammate, Kenny Mckinley, who committed suicide my last year in school while I was going through my NCAA investigation and stuff. So you never really know what people are going through behind closed doors due to this sport, right? We talk about CTE, you talk about all of these issues. So the risk and the reward, are kind of outweighing each other, and I think people are starting to notice that. Even kids, I know people are seeing that the enrollment rate for football is dropping dramatically. That's why they're putting ads on Nickelodeon now and trying to entice kids to play football because we're looking at it like, do I really want to get beat up for that?
It's true. And, you're seeing high schools with less enrollments. Like I was even looking back at my old high school. And we had a great program at the time I was there. And I remember that the program shut down 3-4 years after I left, after they lost our great head coach. And then they had no program for a few years. Now he came back and they gave him the position. He's bringing the program back up. But that's because they're allowing him to do it his way, where before when he had left, it's because they wanted to strip away all his stuff. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying, well, we need you back because our school is suffering. Yeah. We have all-time low numbers in our school. And like sports really does provide a ton of traction when it comes to any school, high school level, college level, middle school level.
It's kind of one of those things nobody really wanted to admit. We didn't even really want to talk about it, face to face until you had to, until it became like, okay, so our numbers are tied to that thing that we say is not that important, and it's you should be here for this, but the numbers tell us otherwise.
So what just to kind of to move the conversation along a little bit, what have you been doing now? Like now we've been talking about storytelling, and obviously we a little bit about college athletics and how that kind of shaped your ability to tell your own story. Right. What types of stories are you looking to tell now? Pretty intrigued to hear what you've been working on and what you've been kind of seeing out there as something that intrigues you and interests you that you might want to explore a little bit further.
Well, there's always a story that needs to be told, and I believe I've told my story a fair amount over the years, especially the ups and the downs and everything. And what I've always been about is telling the story for people who haven't been able to tell their own, right? The disenfranchised, the institutionalized, the impoverished, over-impoverished, and that's something that's near and dear to me because I know how important it is to speak up about those issues because I see how many people do not, right? And so allowing those people to tell their own story. Shout out to the foundation I've been working with here for a little over 4 years, Silent Victims of Crime with Tinkerbell and my girl Media, where we work with the kids who have either one or both parents who are incarcerated. And we take them to do a number of events and fun things, educational activities that will skew them from going down that path because, I don't know if you know the numbers will say about 74% of kids who have an incarcerated parent usually end up going that route at some point. So those are the kind of things that we need, that I've kind of been focusing on, using my power, using my voice for good, giving out clothes here in Overtown to the homeless. I got to be a little more careful now about my interactions with people ever since COVID, and there are actually ordinances now about doing that, and people are striking down. But I feel like my purpose and my intention is to help the world, help people get over their own limiting beliefs. I've been pretty much everywhere mentally that a person can be, whether that be anxiety, depression, rich, poor, all of those things. How to make $1 million, how to lose $1 million, all of these things that people deal with that often they think they're dealing with on their own. I like to offer myself up as one of those people who can help them come out of that shit. And a lot of my clients I end up working with are men, the alpha males, right? The guys who are usually never told that they're wrong or that they need to change.
I fucking hate being told I'm wrong. He'll tell you. I fucking hate it. Don't ever tell me I'm wrong. Find a gentler way around telling me I'm wrong.
Exactly, right. And we can do that. And we can do that. I found, I feel like that's one of my specialties, is being able to work around ways, getting resolutions without offending anyone, right? Not everything you hear might not be the best thing, right? A lot of people, like you said, walking on eggshells. Some people would rather lie and take it further than actually get the truth out of the way and come to a resolution quickly. So, that's just really what I'm focusing on, man. Telling the story of emotional intelligence, about what people have been dealing with this past year. How do they see themselves going forward? Manifestation, looking at the world through a different lens, which I see a lot of people are doing this past year, trying to look at things from a different scope, man. I'm excited about what the future holds.
Well, I'll tell you right now, they always say some of the best storytellers and teachers are from the ones that have experienced many different ups and downs in their lives.
Yes.
And that can actually be relatable, create connection when it comes to meeting new people and actually reaching and impacting that person's soul and heart and be able to just elevate them to the next level. So I think it's amazing, man, what you're doing and how you're able to create that impact through your words, through your energy, through your, education, what you're doing now. Emotional intelligence is huge. And I think it's also a field that is growing, right?
Yes,
it's not a field that's been around for too long either.
No.
So I know it's growing drastically.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's something I'm taking very seriously because I see how serious it is when it comes to, mental health, suicide, all of these things that people deal with that they do not talk about. I don't like that. I don't like to see people walk around in pain, and because we're not living our optimal lives if we are dealing with stuff, and that means physical pain, that means spiritual pain, all of those things, man. And so I come to it with a level of compassion that I like to show. I know that my voice being, as soon as people hear NFL or sometimes when people see me,
they think you're probably the loudest guy in the room.
Exactly. They think, or they think I have to be, or they have whatever kind of judgments about me. But it's interesting.
How do you deal with that stuff? Because it's always intrigued me. I feel like some of the quietest people I've ever met are some of the biggest people. You know what I mean? Some of the offensive linemen that I got to know, even though some of them might be loud, like, Justin Pugh played for the Giants, a real eccentric type of guy. But some of them are like, much quieter, even though they have such a big external appearance. For you, I mean, you've obviously probably been one of the bigger people in the room always in probably your entire life, other than, maybe when you were in the room with those guys. But how do you handle that, right? Like that perception of who people think you should be because you are this, personality on the field, right?
Yeah, that was pretty simple. I stopped caring. I stopped caring a long time ago. That's too much stress walking into a room, trying to figure out the room, to figure out who you should be for that room at that time, right? So
don't be a chameleon.
No. Well, yeah, you could be, right? You could be a good chameleon, right? Some chameleons are not the same color as the rest of the room, right? It's still a chameleon.
Sure.
But it's just not, that color. So when it's necessary, I do that, of course. I'm not there to blow up the room, blow up the spot.
Right.
But I have stopped caring about what people's perception of me is going to be because usually I've come to figure out that most people don't like themselves enough. So they'll, whoever I'm around or whoever I'm dealing with, or they're going to project whatever their insecurities are upon me. So, that has nothing to do with me. And usually once I find that out, I can actually start to help them and, try to get that person in a positive mindset. You know what I mean?
It's so funny you said that because most of the time, you realize that these people are just feeling triggered off something they saw, you did, said, had nothing to do wrong on your part, but it's just the fact that it brings them back to a place of hurt.
It's amazing.
And that's the biggest opportunity to cure or
man.
to help.
Listen, it's things I've seen, especially in Miami, a place that's supposed to be so happy, a place that's supposed to be uplifting, man. And I've been, I go to the club and I like to dance. And you'll see, I'm just dancing all over the place, and I'm a pretty good dancer. People ask, people will tell you.
So, self-made or taught?
I was self-made, man. Just come on, man.
It's born in the blood.
Just born in the blood. But anyway, at the clubs, man,
From dad.
I'll see these guys, and they'll be looking at me like they want to kill me because I'm dancing, and they're not. And it's kind of, it's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable. Like, man, why are you dancing? What are you so happy about? Now, I'm not going to say that's everybody, because out of those guys who looking at me crazy, there are a few guys in suits who start moving a little bit to the beat. Okay, well, maybe it's not so bad if I open up. That guy there, he's doing it. So, they come out of the suit, and then we start. There's usually a moment. I usually have a moment or two. I've had a few moments with some billionaires here in Brooklyn on the beach, man, where they're just like, oh, I'm allowed to
be a freak. Yeah, you can be. I think the clubs on South Beach are one of the only places where you can truly be a freak.
Man, I thought so too, but then you see people that are acting too cool. Past about 6-7 years, I feel like people have just been trying to be too cool, man. Yeah. And it's like it was taken away from the fun.
It's like,
and then,
to impress what?
To impress what? And then this past year, it's got taken away from everybody. And now they're like, I just want to have a good time any way I can. It'll be a backyard. It doesn't matter. I don't need a booth and a section and bottles.
I kind of need. I still need that.
It's still nice to have.
Well, COVID, dude. Now you got a real excuse not to be in crowds. You can be like, listen, I need the VIP because I don't want to be in this crowd. I'm the guy that was sitting. You know what I mean? The guys that you were talking about sitting. That's me. Yeah, I'm like, nah. But mainly not because I don't want to sweat. It's because I don't want to sweat. I want to hang out with my friends, but I don't want to sweat.
Is there any in between dancing so much that you'll be sweating?
Not for me. Not down here. Not down here. I sweat like a pit. Like I even think about. I'm gonna start sweating now.
You can't be talking to me. I am the biggest sweater.
I promise you, I'll sweat you.
I'm the biggest back sweater.
Listen, I used to be a little over 300 pounds, man. I used to be the guy who would carry a towel with him everywhere because I sweat so much, just for no reason, right?
Bro, I'll go through a whole stack of towels at the table, a whole stack of those little napkins. Just
I had to bring the big one, the actual the cloth.
I'm looking for the bar back. Can you just give me your towel?
I will tell you, the other day he's like, bro, try this new sweater I got on. Like, look how good.
And it was all sweaty.
I was like, what's going on here? And I was like, oh.
Had the pit sweat going on.
Oh yeah, listen.
Luckily, I'm too big. Nobody really fits my clothes, so I never had that problem. But I've had to throw shirts away from pit stains.
I was just going through my closet, and I'm like, all my white tees are trash.
One and done.
I'm never getting a white tee graphic ever again.
And Josh likes the $200 shirts.
Oh yeah, you like the expensive ones too, man.
I get, but the thing is, he trashed me on that. But I don't buy them at $200. I wait till the season sale, and then I'm like,
smart man. I'm all about a bargain.
Mm-hmm. Outlets, I go to the outlet every once in a while. Menace just wears free shit. He's like the football players. He's like always come into the equipment room like, yo, let me get another pair of socks. Like, no, you're not getting another pair of socks. I gave you 3 pairs yesterday.
I wish I had asked for more socks. Now that once I started understanding the money, give me all of the socks.
Give me as many.
Under Armour's going to see you.
There was one corner at Syracuse when I was there. His name was Brandon Reddish. He was okay, but every day he would be like, yo, let me. Because I worked in the equipment room in the afternoon. She'd be like, yo, let me get a pair of socks.
Yeah.
Like, no, bro. Yeah. No. Yo, but I don't have any pairs. Like, first of all, I put 2 pairs in your locker last week. 2 pairs in this. You're taking them home. Like, yo, but just let me get one more pair. Like, no. Because if you get a pair, then I can't take home a pair.
Yeah. But, hey, man, the reality is a lot of those guys were taking socks home to the family.
Yeah,
taking sweatpants home to the fam, and he couldn't knock it. I had guys from Ocala. Most of my team was from Florida, Ocala. That's why I learned about the Florida swag and the lingo, man. But, some guys came from some rough backgrounds, so salute to them for even making it that far.
Mm. You want to hear something crazy? It was funny. Was it like 2 years ago? So we had some guys living in our building, some UM players, and I remember my girl's mom. Well, my ex, my girl's my ex.
Oh, yeah,
my
it's
ex's
still
mom,
fresh. It's
right?
still fresh, man. It's okay.
My
all right.
ex's mom, she goes outside to throw some trash out, and there was these 2 or 3 huge garbage bags that were just laying there in the trash room from the apartment building. She's like, she opens it. She's like, she brings it into our house, and she's like, oh my God. She's like, look at this. And I was like, what happened? And she's like, unloads, and it's brand new with the tags and everything. Like tons of gear, like Adidas gear, all this stuff. And she's like, look, it's like hats, sweatpants, shirts, shoes. Like they just throw them out. It's because they got moved into the league.
Yeah.
And they have to get rid. And she was like, oh my God. And she's from
the bowl games.
Cuba. She's from Cuba.
The bowl games were the best.
Oh yeah, bowl games were.
Bowl games were the best.
I still
walk away with TVs and shit, Blu-rays.
She kept them and took them to Cuba and started selling a whole bunch.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's how you do it, man.
When I left Cuse, I had like 4 of those like storage tubs just overflowing with the shit.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, once I saw those checks, my first year with
Listen,
South
I paid
Carolina,
tuition at Syracuse. Like I'm getting mine.
Get yours.
I'm getting mine.
Is
nothing wrong
the
with it.
league that consider when it comes to like, hey, I'm gonna give you as many things as you
Oh
need?
yeah, the league. It's
don't give a
almost
fuck.
like the money doesn't.
Yeah. You want a pair of socks? Here's 10 pair. What color you want?
Exactly. It's just like that. Which is funny you guys say that because I was able to play in 2 years ago. I played in the AAF, the Alliance of American Football, with the Birmingham Iron.
How was
Shout out
that?
to Iron. It was fun while it lasted. Yeah, until you realize it's not the NFL, not infinite resources, and the season tanked 8 games. I believe 8 games into the season, so we weren't even.
Was it competitive?
Super competitive?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. A lot of guys from that league ended up on training camps and on rosters later on that year in the NFL. So it was definitely worthwhile, but it just didn't last.
And then now you got the XFL now with what is it, the Rocks?
Well, they got that fan league too, right?
Yeah,
Where you
the
can,
fan league.
Yeah.
Isn't
Didn't,
Johnny Mansell playing that league?
and
I believe he is. Shout out my boy
Josh Gordon?
Chris Brazil, my frat brother. He's out there playing for the
Okay.
fan
Yeah.
control football. Yeah, so I just been watching.
It's like
his
arena.
Instagram
It's like
story.
arena football, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
same
arena.
size?
Yep, same size. So
How's it doing?
I'm not sure. I haven't been watching too much. I just shout out Chris. I've just been watching through his Instagram. Man,
Yeah.
so I don't know where to catch it, when to catch it, but
how did with the AFL or
AAF.
how did you know that like okay maybe like what was the first telltale sign for you that was like maybe we're running out of money here? Did you notice, or did they one day just go like, all right, well, we don't have practice today.
Well, we're
not going.
Yeah, nobody.
We're not going to Albany.
Exactly. Nobody noticed. It was sweet for a while. From the word from the top down is that we had enough money to last for 3 years with no funding, right? And so it was. I remember Quentin Patton, our wide receiver, shout out QP, who was always on it, especially when it comes to money. He was, I guess he relayed to the rest of the guys that our check was late coming to us. And it was only about, maybe a couple days, but that was the first time questions were raised.
Yeah, it's not a great sign.
Right. Well, but up until that point, we've been getting them pretty consistently every week. And in that time, it was like a 2-day hold on it. And, we got the money, but I think more questions were being asked then. And then within like a couple weeks, we realized what the money, the situation was, and that guys were running out of money. So it was pretty interesting, to say the least.
Now they got the XFL, right? The Rock and his ex-wife.
Yeah, I believe that starts next year. Yeah, but me, and if I ever suit back up, it's NFL or bust. So
You're excuse me. You're still you're thinking about it. Like how's that been going for you? You're training every day, or
oh yeah,
doing what you need to do?
I've been training even since I left the Colts 4 years ago now.
Where do you train at?
Well, I started training with my guys, the Foot Doctor crew here in South Florida. Those guys are awesome, man. Shout out Cash, Sage, my guy Seth. But they really just showed me a different way of training, right? Without so many weights and without any weights actually, and using my body and gravity and things that we possess to become stronger and faster, and that's happened. And I'm doing things now that I wasn't even doing on the field before. So at a lighter weight, about 255 now, stronger, faster than I was before. And the only thing attached to my name now, of course, is 32-year-old Weslye Saunders, free agent, right? And, guys look at that like that's too old until you talk about Tom Brady. Tom he can play till he's 65 apparently. Right. But anybody else, 32 is like ancient. So now it's all about just getting in the right rooms, getting in front of the right people. Yeah. People can see me and obviously, see that I'm in good shape. I'm doing backflips again. So yeah, I'm ready, man.
They increased the roster spots last year, right? They're going to keep that moving forward, or do you know anything about that?
I think so. I hope so.
What is it, 55?
Yep, they increased the roster spots, but more importantly, they opened up the eligibility for practice squad. So now,
that's great.
As before, I'm an NFL veteran, and I've played too much, what they consider too many snaps to be practice squad eligible, and so they wouldn't be able to put me on practice squad. So you'd either have to sign me for $1 million or not sign me at all, or you can sign two young rookies for $455,000 each, right? So then it becomes a numbers game. So this past year, it was very huge that they opened up the practice squad eligibility to veterans like myself. So now I could, go on practice squad for a week or two, get myself on, and then sign to the regular roster.
That's great, man. That's those opportunities don't come very often. So if you can get one, that'll be huge.
It,
and obviously I just met you before you walked in the room here, but you seem like the type of person that doesn't take those opportunities lightly. So I'm excited to see what you're able to do.
Thank you. I hope we'll be looking back at this segment when I'm on a roster somewhere.
Hell yeah, man.
We knew there. We knew it was going to happen. Dolphins looking at you.
Ooh, that's right. Let's go. My Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get this man up in here. Mm-hmm. See him with that team next year. Let's go. Hey, they missed it by a little bit.
Barely.
I know.
But, there's hope. There's hope in the city.
There is hope.
So.
There is hope. There's potential, too.
There you
go.
Now,
if you do get into the league, I got to ask you, with all the stuff you got going on, which is truly amazing, I know you mentioned you had your CBD hemp line. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're doing the wellness, emotional intelligence. How are you going to manage all that?
Well, it'd be a lot easier to delegate that to somebody when I get there. That'll be a great problem to have. Shout out to Hot Organics. Shout out to my brother Donovan in North Carolina, hotorganics.org, man. We're doing real well, man. Everybody's jumping on this health train. Hemp is the way of the past and the way of the future, man. Magic root. And, started making my own juices as well. The West juice, in trying to get people healthier. Like I said, I was a little over
pressed juice.
It's actually I started straining it and pressing it myself. So
shit.
I blended up, do all of it
in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, man. But I got a commercial grade blender. Shout out to Blend Tech as well for
guys. If you want some strong pressed juice,
there you go. Because sometimes the cold press, it takes some of the nutrients out of it. Yeah. So I like to leave some of the fiber, because it's important. But, foods like beets, ginger, kale, I started really getting on the alkaline train, and the alkaline is nothing but electricity. Our bodies are electricity, and unfortunately a lot of times we're eating foods that are not electric, right? Bread, meat, cheese, unfortunately, is not electric. Tastes good, not electric, right? So you got to really think about what you're putting into your body when you're talking about how you're feeling, because all of that matters, right? The gut is the second brain. So
100%.
We're sending signals back and forth, man. And if you're on an empty stomach, a lot of people take pride in the fact that they only had a cup of coffee for breakfast, or had a bagel or a croissant. Well, if that's the only thing that's going in your gut, then that's we got some issues going on.
It sounds like me, like this 32-year-old football player is like a fresh rookie out of college right now with these new techniques you got going on for yourself.
I reversed the hands of time, man, and it was all here to begin with, right? You just go back to a more natural way, a more natural state of being, right? It's amazing what happens, and I'm talking about brain function, motor skills, everything, man. Everything can benefit from a healthier lifestyle.
So, what was that spark for you to really want you to get involved in that world?
I broke my foot twice. Training. I've always been Big West. Everybody knows I'm from North Carolina, man. We're raised off the pig there, so pork was always my thing, and sugar and sweets. So I was a big guy, and playing tight end, I was moving around a couple times and broke my foot training for the combine in 2011. Then I broke it again in 2012.
What was your playing weight?
For a while, my playing weight was like 285.
Big tight end.
Yeah,
Damn.
I was big, and I could move. You know, I'd never saw anything wrong with it because I
Dude,
could do everything.
There's
I
a
needed
lot
to
of big
do.
boys in the NFL that can move.
Exactly.
285 that's a big tight end.
Right.
man.
Oh, I had gotten up to 300 at one point.
Really?
So yeah, it got pretty bad. But you know, like Coach Spurrier was one of those kind of guys. Like, I ain't gonna say nothing about it. If you're still able to do what you can do on the field, I won't say.
How was it to play for Coach Spurrier?
Spurrier, it was fun, man. He was he was a character for sure, but he threw that ball around, and I was able to, you know, showcase my. I probably wouldn't have made it to the NFL.
Who was a quarterback at South Carolina when you were there?
I came in with Steven Garcia, and Garcia was my guy for most of the time. But my first year, we had Blake Mitchell, then we had Chris Smelly, and we had a couple guys. But Garcia was my guy, and I never got the chance to play with Connor Shaw.
Okay,
on the field.
He was right after.
Well, yeah, he was when I got suspended my last year, my senior year, when I was the number 1 tight end in the country, and I got suspended. Yeah, me and Shaw had some connections. I saw a young kid, Marcus Lattimore, who was really good.
Crushed it.
Yeah,
Crushed it
we
out
had
there.
a new guy coming, Jadavian Clowney, who was going to be super good, and you know, it was just.
I mean, how interesting was it for you to see these guys like on the come up and you're like, yo, this team's gonna be fucking nasty in a couple of years?
It was interesting, and it was obviously hurtful. That was the year I missed. Is the year we made it to the SEC championship, and I believe, you know, had I been on the field, we could have defeated Cam Newton and Auburn, and you know, but you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? But those are the moments at 21 years old where I'm sitting on the sidelines of a game I should have been in because the NCAA said I took some money, and I have to ingest that. Right? It hurt. It wasn't a good feeling. I stayed in school that whole time, so you can imagine being on campus. You know, we beat Alabama, and we, you know, doing these historic things, and I'm pleading with the NCAA to let me back on the field. So you know, I grew up a lot in those few months of that football season. So
how do you take that learning experience, right? Because it is such a moment of uncontrollable, right? That you know, no matter what you try to do. Right, the NCAA is just going to tell you, like, nah, you're going to sit out. And your coach is going to go, okay, well, we got to keep playing. So you're going to sit out. And there's probably 14 other tight ends that are going to come in here.
There you go.
Right? How do you take that and turn it into something that you can then use as a positive experience, as fuel, as motivation, as something that you can take, you know, moving down the road as you are now at 32? You know, it's probably been, 10 years since that happened?
Yeah.
How has that really changed your outlook on the ability to handle pressure, handle what really is like the sense of not feeling like you're in control?
Yeah, man, that was one of those moments where you really, okay, what do you do in those moments where you want to have some control, you want something to change so badly, and it's right there, and you can't convince anybody. No one's there to save you. No one can help you. You know, I can't even describe what kind of feeling that is, and then, you know, not having anyone to turn to. But I can tell you, you know, that's why I had to allude, and I can't tell these stories without mentioning Kenny McKinley, because it was really at that moment where he committed suicide, where the light bulb went off in me, because I thought I was that sad. I thought I was sad enough to have done something to myself, like, hey, man, you know, my pretty much existence had been tied to athletics and football, and I got myself to this point in my career just to have it snatched from me. And so I thought I was that sad. And what he showed me was that, oh, it's not that bad, Wes. You know, somebody else is going through something tougher that you don't know about. And he was in the NFL at the time. So it was, I can't take credit for me getting over that hurdle without mentioning his death, because it was, you know, I thought I was going down that path of just, you know, self-pity, self-sorrow. You go into victim mode, even though I was in the wrong. I broke the rules. Yes, true. Were they harsh? Of course they were. But that's not for me to decide, right? So that was one of those kind of moments I had to, you know, think to myself, like, man, Wes, those trips to Miami on the weekends while you're supposed to be in school, you probably should have skipped those, right? I was living the life a little too soon. So I had to, in those moments of me feeling so sad, I had to take accountability as well, because, you know, I was trying to live the life before it was my time. And, you know, you just look at the pros and cons of things. It helps you go forward, and you just have to learn the lesson. If you don't learn the lesson, you're probably going to learn it again in some other fashion, in some other space.
And I'll tell you right now that it's that story that's going to drive impact in other young adults' lives that can really transition their careers. their path, carve their ways. And I think it's just amazing being able to hear from you, you know, what you've learned, you know, what you've grown from, what you've gone through, your ups and downs, what is created for you today, and how you continue to succeed in many aspects of your life.
Thanks, man. It's so important. That's why I have to. It's not even like I want to share this anymore now. It's like an obligation, especially since me having done the things that I did in college and me getting suspended. I didn't realize how many kids were, had Weslye Saunders jerseys around the country and you know, who were, you know, stoked to see me play, and you know, parents would send me videos of their, you know, kids crying or asking where's Weslye Saunders, and
That's wild.
right, and it dawned on me like, oh wow, this is bigger than me. Okay, so you know, I can't be selfish like this. I'm not the only one who's going to suffer from this. Also, my family was embarrassed, of course, but you know, those kids, I'll never forget the kids, and so it was kind of super important for me to be able to give this message back. And unfortunately, like you mentioned Tebow earlier, like, you know, people love Tebow, and I'm sure kids listen to him too, but you know, I was no Tebow, right? I got in some trouble. I did certain things the wrong way, and people were looking at me in this kind of way, and this is how you bounce back from it. This is how you remind yourself.
But that's got to resonate with more people than, you know, 100%. Being a Catholic virgin,
right?
Perfect quarterback.
Hey, no disrespect to Tebow.
No,
you know,
I mean, good for you. Good for you. Like, you know, you killed it. You know,
good for you. But yeah, he, you know.
But it's a different demographic.
It's a different demographic, man, and we're dealing with different stuff.
And you need both.
And you definitely need both. You know, and it's a lot of. I mean, that's hard, man.
It's gotta be real hard.
Talk to Tebow, like living like that is tough.
It's gotta be real hard.
So kudos to you, man. You know, that's
especially at Florida. Ooh.
Right, especially at Florida. UF, man. Shout out to the Pouncies, all my people. You know, major UF. I'm not mad.
You play with Shamarko Thomas? You play with Shamarko?
No, I never played. I never played with Shamarko in Pittsburgh, but we've crossed paths a few times.
Okay, good dude.
The Pouncies just retired, right?
Yeah, they
retired.
Yeah, they retired, man.
How was he? How was the Pouncies?
Well, you know, I knew Mike. Playing against him and hanging out with him before. I actually knew Marquise. I played Marquise in Pittsburgh, man, and those are some good guys. And you know, they taught me about, you know, the art of block. I wasn't really a blocker coming out of college like that, and those, you know, having guys like that to watch.
Oh, some of the best.
Emulate. And they're tall too. You know, they're tall like me. So being able to get my body in position to strike and do things, man, I definitely owe a lot to the Pouncies.
Awesome. Legends, absolute legends at
man.
UF.
Yeah, happy retirement, fellas. You know, it's been a pleasure playing against and with both y'all, man. So good luck.
Well, listen, man, I know you're a pretty busy man. Mendez is going to have a couple final questions to ask you. I just wanted to take the time to say, you know, thank you for coming in the studio, man. It's been a pleasure getting to meet you, getting to know a little bit about your story and how you're making an impact in the world. And, you know, if there's anything me personally or the podcast can do, or Mendez, I'll speak for him as well. Like, we'd be more than happy to help 100%. Spread the message, spread the word.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I'm very humbled and grateful to be here. Y'all got a good vibe, good thing going here, man. And shout out to Kill Cliff CBD drinks, man. These are pretty good. These are, you know,
not sponsored, but we would like to be.
Not sponsored, but, you know, this is how you get sponsored. You got to create value, right? And then you create a value, you get the sponsor. Simple.
So where can everybody find you, my dude? Where can people connect with you? Where can they find you? Where can they also get some of your products?
Oh, yeah, well, you can find me on Instagram, Wes_Saunders88, and that's my handle across platforms, Twitter, TikTok, and everywhere. Yeah, and you can check us out at hotorganics.org for the all-natural hemp CBD products. I also have my West Juice Pro Green on there, who it has over 25 superfood ingredients in there to help you out. And Weslye.com coming to you soon in the next 35 days. So that'll be
awesome.
Yeah,
let's go.
I appreciate it, man. And other than that, catch me everywhere. Catch me outside. I'm outside, man.
That's great.
Love it, especially
here
in Miami.
Man. Yes.
All right, rapid fire. First question.
Hey.
All right. What was your biggest play in your football career?
The biggest play in my football career would probably be my touchdown against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football when I was with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, that'd be epic.
Who was it on?
It was on a on a safety, Sorensen, last name Sorensen, and Yeah, I actually met him. He does WWE now. I met him.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's actually a WWE trainer / fighter. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
What a crossover.
Right.
Love it though. Well, Gronk did that for a little bit.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
he did it like
he
an
got-
he like an
he got a
appearance.
guest
Yeah,
appearance. They probably
he got
paid
the
him a
belt. They're like, here
Yeah.
you go, man. You're like a.
They,
You're,
they paid
you're
him
a
$1 million
legend.
to do a scene, and
Hey, you know, whatever, man.
When you're the
Gotta
Gronk,
fucking love it.
Get
you
it
know?
when you can.
got to.
Those are some
number two.
Buffalo boys.
Yeah. Question number 2. What is the biggest thing that people can do right now when it comes to battling their depression?
The biggest thing people can do right now, if you are depressed or battling depression, is breathe. And I mean, really breathe. I mean, go outside and try to suck in oxygen through your nose as if they're going to try to sell oxygen tomorrow, as if it's not going to be available, because people don't realize the impact of oxygen on the brain, on our cells, right? Everything in an oxygenated state just thrives more. And sometimes, we weren't even breathing enough before the mask came out, right? And so now the mask is impeding breath, and people are really discrediting how important that is to our psyche, our ability of discernment, to think clearly, to all of those things. It comes from breathing. So, I do breathing exercises all through the day. And most importantly, I try to find which nostril is the strongest, and I close that nostril. So I'm forcing air through the nostril that's not getting enough air, hence bringing air to the left and right brain, which we obviously need.
You use mouth tape at night? You to that level yet?
No. Do people do that?
Oh, yeah, tape their mouth shut.
So they can only breathe through their nose?
At night, yeah, while they sleep. And like while they do cardio, like rowing, ski erg, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, see,
Running.
that's the thing. I don't understand that because, the process of oxygen going in through the nose, it comes out of the mouth as carbon dioxide, which helps the plants and everything else. So if it's not...
Well, you just breathe all that through your nose.
Yeah, well, that's what the mouth is for. That's what.
I mean, listen, you're talking. I get it. I get it. I snore a lot though too, so I probably am not the person that should be talking about this.
Right. So it helps with snoring. So the breathing techniques, not to get off of the rapid fire, but the breathing techniques help with snoring as well. My dad has, sleep apnea, and that, that's an issue. But also,
He's a pretty big guy himself.
Yeah, he's a big guy, and the snoring also comes from maybe congestion with mucus. So shout out to the ginger. If you're taking ginger shots in the morning, kudos to you to clear that mucus out and breathe clearly.
Boom.
Yeah, ginger shots are money. It was like the only good thing I liked about working at Equinox was I had that little.
Yeah.
And how much do they charge for the ginger shots?
I mean, I was getting the plug.
I know, but like in general.
Oh, probably like $5.
$5 to $7.
for the
Yeah.
shots. Yeah, that's.
Oh, I mean, if you go to like, there's Pure Vita. You've been to
Yeah,
Pure Vita, like
yeah.
like $7 for that.
$7 exactly.
Yeah, just
So-
a little extra.
So
I think it's the honey.
y'all start complaining about the West Juice being $12 for the 12 ounce. Okay,
go buy
I'm
that
I'm
shit.
giving you guys a deal.
Yeah, those are like little 3 ounce
Right,
shots.
yeah, just
Little
the ginger
nips.
is
guys.
$7. So
I'm
there's ginger.
gonna jump on that.
Yeah, man, for real. I'm only doing South Florida right now because.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get some in here.
Right, definitely. I should have
We'll
brought
get some in
some
here.
too, man.
Yeah, we'll get
I
some
ain't
from
have
you.
time. Yeah,
Love it.
nice contrast to the CBD drinks.
Question number 3. What's the craziest and wildest experience you ever had in your life?
Oh man, you gotta give me some more context than that. Craziest in what way? Craziest and wildest.
However you want to take it.
Oh man, because I'm originally from a place called Gary, Indiana, about 25 miles from Chicago, man, and we've been in some situations in some hoods that
Yeah, Gary's rough.
making it
from
out
what I've
right.
heard.
Yeah. So my grandparents, they were
Who else is from Gary? There's like a couple.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That's the most prominent guy, and then me probably after him. But no, seriously, shout out. I think Big
There's a
Dog
couple
Robinson,
people, right? Yeah, there's a couple people.
Robinson. Yeah. So anyway, so I've been in some shootouts before, man. That's been pretty
Holy
crazy,
fuck.
and ducking bullets and those things.
When
But
you were young?
yeah, I was like 11, 12 years old,
Oh,
man.
man.
Yeah, so those are pretty crazy situations that make you look at life differently, right? Because some people look at it as fun in those environments when you don't know anything, you don't know any better. When human life is not that valued, you look at things as differently. So now looking back on it, those are the craziest moments that I've been in, right?
I'd say so.
I can't take those out of my brain. and the fact that we got out of those. But yeah, I would say one of the craziest times I've been in Fiji. You know, we were out in Fiji in the middle of the water, man, snorkeling.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's
Quite the contrast.
Yeah, that's a moment where you're just like,
am I here?
Yeah, am I here? Right? Is this reality or a dream that I'm in? No one really knows. That's up for debate as well.
I know, right? Don't go down that rabbit hole with him.
With me, yeah,
Man,
exactly.
Jesus Christ, we'll be here forever. You had no idea.
Love it. Last and final question. What is the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one sentence?
Oh, man. Do good and good will come to you.
Boom.
It's a phenomenal way to wrap this up.
You heard
Wes,
that, guys.
Appreciate you guys,
Appreciate my
man.
dude.
make sure you guys go check him out. Wes_Saunders 88.
Yeah. We here, man. Sweat it out, baby. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
Can't
you,
wait
brother.
to come back, man. This ain't the last time.
Oh,
Woo! Let's go.
Till next time, everybody.